Today, Nolly Elementary would like to recognize all of our October Leaders of the Month. We are so proud of these students for their outstanding leadership in the classroom, on the playground, in the lunchroom, and always displaying the 7 habits here at Nolly School. Today, I will recognize each student in each grade and tell you a little something about them. Okay, starting off in kindergarten, our first leader of the month is Emma Oros. Emma is proactive. Mrs. Craig said, as a new kindergartner, Emma has been an outstanding role model for her peers. She's demonstrated self-control and regulates her emotions wonderfully. Mrs. Craig said, I have appreciated her respectful and kind ways, and I can't wait to watch her flourish and grow this year. Way to go, Emma. We are all so proud of you. In Mrs. Parton's room, we have Nora Brown. Nora is proactive. Nora came to kindergarten ready to learn, to help others, and to lead by example. She is showing us what leaders do at Nolly Elementary. I am proud of you, Nora. Thank you for teaching our class what it takes to be a leader. In Mrs. Rankin's room, we have Nico Gangoda, who is proactive. Nico started off on the right foot in kindergarten. He is leading our class in the right direction. Mrs. Rankin said, I expect great things from Nico throughout the 24-25 school year. And also in Mrs. Zukowski's class, we have Veda Belcher, who is proactive. Mrs. Zukowski said, wow, Veda is doing such a great job settling into kindergarten. She proactively follows directions, always tries her best, and is a great friend. Keep up the wonderful work, Veda. You are very kind. Okay, in first grade, in Mrs. Beard's class, I have Addison Bird, who is proactive and puts first things first. Addison has done a wonderful job being a leader in our classroom. She is kind, respectful, responsible, and is always seen putting first things first. Thank you for working so hard each day, Addison. Your positive attitude will take you far. In Mrs. Bowser's room, we have Asher Sir Lewis, who is the leader of the month for demonstrating all 7 habits. Asher follows directions and always puts forth his best effort. He is well behaved and sets a good example for his classmates to follow. Way to go, Asher. In Miss Nagy's room, we have Andrew Ellabrook, who synergizes. Andrew has started the school year off as a strong leader in our first grade classroom. He has been caught numerous times synergizing with classmates and showing a caring attitude. In Mrs. Rector's room, we have Charlie DeBar, who is proactive. Charlie is a leader in every way. She is new to Nolly this year and was the first to retire her clip in our class. She is always there to lend a helping hand or to help a friend in need. We are so proud of you, Charlie. In second grade, in Mrs. Grandin's room, we have Megan Lehman, who puts first things first. Megan is a leader in the classroom because she is organized, helpful, and focused. Way to go, Megan. In Mrs. Slimak's room, we have Tragan Dempsey. Tragan is proactive. Tragan is a wonderful new addition to our Nolly family. She is hardworking, kind, helpful, and responsible. We are all so happy to have her in our classroom. Keep up the awesome work, Tragan. In Ms. Truex's room, we have Bo Hall, who is proactive. Bo is an amazing second grade leader. He takes initiative and is responsible. He's a kid that does the right thing without being asked, and even when no one is looking. Keep up the great work, Bo. In Mrs. Van Dorsten's room, we have Aubrey Largent. Aubrey puts first things first. Aubrey is always ready to learn. She is a great listener and a good worker. Aubrey is a great leader to follow in Mrs. Van Dorsten's class. On to third grade. Our first third grader is in Mrs. Braley's class and is Emmy Calvert, who is proactive and thinks win-win. Emmy is off to a great start in third grade. She is striving to do her best, proactively completing her work, and she has a positive attitude towards learning. Often, she lends a helping hand to her friends. Keep being a leader, Emmy. In Mrs. Esterly's room, we have Andy Moore, who puts first things first. Mrs. Esterly said, we are so lucky to have Andy in our room this year. Andy puts first things first by being an excellent role model to our class. She is ready every day to learn and to do her very best work. Thank you, Andy. In Mrs. Stassnis's room, we have Kenzie Voros, who puts first things first. Kenzie has been a phenomenal role model for our other students as we get used to our new building. If anyone wonders what to do, they can always look to see her listening, following directions, and working hard. Thank you, Kenzie. In Mr. Straub's room, we have Renly Sedgwick, who begins with the end in mind and puts first things first. Renly is off to a smashing start in 3rd grade. She has her priorities straight and gets her work done well in a timely fashion to get out and enjoy recess. She is very polite in class to her teachers and her fellow classmates. Thank you, Renly. From Mrs. Sweeter, we have Noah Hoskinson, who is proactive. Noah comes to class every day prepared and excited to learn. His cheerful and positive attitude makes the classroom a happy place. This proactive approach is a key reason why Noah stands out. Way to go, Noah. Okay, in 4th grade, nominated by Mrs. Gardner and Mrs. Hansel, we have Shaylee Young, who puts first things first. Shaylee is a leader in the classroom. She works hard to stay on task and follow directions. Shaylee is going to have an amazing 4th grade year. In Mrs. Matson's room, we have Melania Prinzo, who is proactive. Melania is an all-around good student and leader. She is prepared for school and always tries her best. Melania is always kind to all her classmates and is helpful in class. Keep it up, Melania. In Mrs. Oaks' room, we have Timmy Strickland. Timmy is proactive. He is so nice and kind to everyone. He always does this end-of-the-day job without reminders, and he has a very positive attitude. Timmy is off to a great start at Nolly in 4th grade. In Mrs. Toast's room, we have Grace Carr, who seeks first to understand. Grace is so kind and pleasant. She makes sure she says hello and is so understanding to all of the students. Way to go, 4th grade. And finally, our 5th graders. Our first student is in Mrs. Adamson's room, and it is Reagan Graham. Reagan is a true leader in the classroom. She always puts first things first by writing her homework assignments down daily, completing her work on time, and helping her teachers and classmates when needed. Mrs. Adamson said, "I am very proud of you, Reagan." In Mrs. Bellis's room, we have Connor Wilson, who is proactive, seeks first to understand, and puts first things first. Connor is a top-notch student. He works hard in class. He is proactive because he always has his work completed and puts first things first. He is also extremely helpful. Mrs. Bellis said, "I know I can count on Connor to be ready for a great day in ELA class." In Mrs. Demrowski's room, we have Cole Neugebauer. Cole begins with the end in mind. Mrs. Demrowski said Cole Neugebauer is being recognized for using habit 2, begin with the end in mind. Cole is always prepared for class, completes quality work, and is always on task. Cole has a great time management skills because he begins with the end in mind to always use time wisely to complete his work. Keep up the great work, Cole. In Mrs. Sewell's class, we have Emma Wallace, who puts first things first. Emma jumps right in to help everyone around her. She was a great help getting her classmates logged into Progress Book. Way to go, Emma. And we also have Mason Calvert, who is nominated by Mrs. Maggard. Mason puts first things first. Mrs. Maggard said Mason is a leader in the month because he consistently demonstrates the importance of prioritizing his time and responsibilities. He is a great leader in 5th grade. Congratulations to all of the Nolly Leaders of the Month. The entire staff here at Nolly is so proud of you. Please keep up the great work and your outstanding leadership. Way to go!